Welcome, welcome. Ears perked, I see. xAI just released a terminal-based coding agent that automatically reads every single one of your Claude Code configuration files. Your skills, your plugins, your MCP servers, your rules, and works with them out of the box. Zero migration, no setup, no rewriting configs. It's called Grok Build. It ships with a dedicated coding model at $1 per million input tokens. And it has image generation, video generation, and LiveX/Twitter search built directly into the coding terminal. Oh, and there's a /dream command that consolidates memory while you're not using it. The agent literally sleeps and organizes what it learned. This is either the most aggressive competitive move in AI tooling this year, or the most clever Trojan horse strategy I've ever seen. Possibly both. Let me break down what's actually shipping here. Let's start with the basics. Grok Build is xAI's terminal-based AI coding agent, a direct competitor to Claude Code. It launched in beta in May 2026, and it ships in 4 distinct forms, each serving a different use case. First, an interactive TUI, a full-screen mouse interactive terminal interface for coding with agents. This is the flagship experience. You launch it, and you get a rich terminal UI with session management, a plugin marketplace, memory search, and all the tools you'd expect from a modern coding agent. Second, a headless CLI. You can run Grok-P with a prompt for scripts, bots, and CI/CD pipelines. This is for automation. Need to run code review on every pull request? Need to generate documentation as part of your build process? Headless mode with JSON output format makes that trivial. Third, an ACP mode, that's the Agent Client Protocol. JSON RPC over standard input and output for IDE integration. This is how you plug Grok Build into VS Code, JetBrains, or any IDE that supports the protocol. The IDE talks to Grok Build via ACP, and Grok Build does the heavy lifting. And fourth, a dedicated API model called Grok Build 0. 1. Available directly on xAI's API for custom integrations. If you're building your own tooling and want to use the same model that powers Grok Build, you can call it directly. Installation is a single command on Linux and Mac, curl-fsl, the x.ai install script piped to bash. On Windows, a PowerShell one-liner, or npm install if you prefer the Node ecosystem. Once installed, you navigate to your project directory and run Grok for the interactive experience, or Grok-P with a prompt for headless mode. The TUI is rich. It has session management with /new, /resume, /sessions, /fork, and /share. Context compaction via /imagine. Video generation with /imagine video. Memory search and editing with /memory. And a full plugin marketplace built right in. The dedicated model, Grok Build 0. 1 has a 256,000 token context window. That's larger than Claude Sonnet's 200,000. Input pricing is $1 per million tokens, output is $2, and cached input drops to 20 cents. It supports function calling, structured outputs, and reasoning mode. Rate limits are competitive. 1,800 requests per minute. And 10 million tokens per minute. Here's the move that's going to make Claude Code users pay attention. Grok Build is zero config compatible with Claude Code's entire ecosystem. And I mean the entire ecosystem. This is not a partial compatibility. It's a complete drop-in replacement. When you install Grok Build, it automatically reads your Claude Code marketplaces, plugins, skills, MCP servers, agents, and hooks. It reads Claude.md, Claude.md, Claude.local.md, and everything in the .claude/rules directory. It even reads the agents.md, family, agents.md, and agent.md. Every configuration file, every customization, every workflow you've built, Grok Build picks it up automatically. This is a deliberate interoperability play. xAI is saying, switch from Claude Code with zero friction. Everything you've configured, everything you've customized, it just works. No migration weekend, no re-editing configs, no re-exporting plugins, no reconfiguring MCP servers. Think about what that means in practice. If you've spent months building a Claude Code setup with custom skills for your specific tech stack, MCP server connections to your internal databases and APIs, agent configurations for different project types, and project-specific rules in Claude.md, Grok Build picks all of that up automatically. Your entire development environment, your entire workflow, transfers in seconds. This is the Trojan horse strategy. Get developers into xAI's ecosystem by removing the single biggest barrier to switching: configuration lock-in. And because Grok Build is cheaper, $1 per million input tokens versus Claude's higher rates, the economic incentive is clear. You get the same workflow, the same tools, the same customizations at a lower price point. But it's not just a clone. Grok Build adds capabilities Claude Code doesn't have. Image generation from within the coding terminal via /imagine. Need a placeholder image for your UI? Generate it without leaving the terminal. Video generation via /imagine video. Need a demo video of your feature? Generate it in place. Live x/Twitter search built into the agent's toolset. Need to check what people are saying about your library, or find real-time information about an API change. The agent can search X directly, and a memory system with offline consolidation through the /dream command. More on that in a moment, because it's genuinely interesting. Let me walk through the features that make this more than just a Claude Code alternative. There's a depth here that deserves attention. The 2i has a rich command set beyond the basics. /new for fresh sessions, /resume to pick up where you left off, /sessions to browse history, /fork to branch a conversation, and explore a different approach, /share to export your session for collaboration. /compact performs context compaction, shrinking long conversations for lower cost and latency while preserving the essential context. This is important for long coding sessions where the context window fills up. /rewind lets you go back to an earlier conversation point. Made a wrong turn 3 messages ago? Rewind and try again. By the way, lets you ask a side question without interrupting the main flow. By the way, what does this function do without derailing your current task? The memory system is genuinely interesting. /memory lets you search and edit persistent memory entries. The agent remembers things across sessions. And /dream, yes. Dream triggers offline memory consolidation. The agent processes your session history and organizes knowledge for future use. It's a small touch, but it signals a different philosophy. This agent is designed to learn and remember across sessions, not just within them. For autonomous work, there are multiple permission modes. Ask mode prompts before every action. The safe default, always approve, skips all permission prompts. The YOLO mode, if you will, for when you trust the agent completely. Accept edits auto-approves file changes, bypass permissions for fully trusted environments. Don't ask for headless automation, and plan mode blocks write tools entirely, forcing the agent to plan first before executing. Useful for complex tasks where you want to review the approach before any changes are made. The sub-agent system allows spawning independent child sessions for parallel task handling. Need to research 3 approaches simultaneously. Spawn 3 sub-agents. The parent session coordinates while children work independently. This is powerful for exploration. Try multiple solutions in parallel and compare results. Enterprise features are comprehensive. 5 sandbox profiles ranging from off to strict. Off means no sandboxing, full system access. Workspace restricts to the project directory. DevBox adds network restrictions. Read-only prevents any file modifications. Strict locks everything down. Landlock sandboxing on Linux, seatbelt on macOS. These are OS-level security mechanisms, not just application-level restrictions. OIDC integration with Entra ID, Okta, and Auth0 for enterprise authentication. MDM and fleet deployment via a requirements configuration file. IT can deploy Grok Build across an organization with centralized configuration. Zero data retention for enterprise customers who need to ensure no code leaves their environment. Device code authentication for headless environments like CI servers where browser-based auth isn't available. And a 5-layer config priority system for complex deployments with overrides at different levels. At the API level, there's a context compaction API for shrinking long conversations programmatically. a website responses API for lower latency on tool-heavy workloads, and a multi-agent research mode supporting 4 or 16 agents collaborating on research tasks simultaneously. xAI is now Anthropic's landlord. $1.25 billion per month in compute, and the last xAI co-founder just departed in March. But the product keeps shipping. Let me explain the model stack, because it's more complex than just Grok Build. 0. 1. Grok Build sits on top of a broader model ecosystem. The dedicated coding model, Grok Build 0. 1. has 256,000 token context and is optimized for code generation and tool use. But the flagship is Grok 4.3, which offers a 1 million token context window, 5 times what Claude provides. That's enough context to hold an entire large codebase in memory. There are also specialized variants, Grok 4.20 reasoning and non-reasoning models, both with million token context. The reasoning model thinks step by step for complex problems. The non-reasoning model is faster for straightforward tasks, and a multi-agent model, Grok 4.20 multi-agent, that supports orchestration across 4 or 16 agents simultaneously. This is for research tasks where you want multiple agents exploring different angles in parallel. The pricing is aggressive across the board. Grok 4.3 is $125 input, $250 output. The coding model is $1 input, $2 output, 20% cheaper than xAI's own flagship. Catch-ed inputs drop to 20 cents across the board. That's important for iterative coding where you're rereading the same files repeatedly. Built-in tools include web search, xSearch, which is unique to xAI and gives real-time access to what people are saying about libraries. APIs and technical topics, code execution, collection search for searching across your own data, and remote MCP connections. The Batch API offers 20 to 50% off standard rates for non-urgent workloads, available in US East and EU West regions. The Grok Build 0.1 model is in early access, while Grok 4.3 is generally available. So where does Grok Build actually sit in the coding agent market? Let me break down the head-to-head comparisons versus Claude Code. The direct competitor, Grok Build, has a larger context window, 256K versus 200K, cheaper pricing at $1 versus Claude's higher rates, and unique features like image generation, video generation, xSearch, and the Dream memory system. Claude Code has broader model capabilities beyond coding. Claude can write, analyze, research, not just code, and a more mature ecosystem with more community-built skills and plugins. But the zero-config compatibility means you don't have to choose. You can run both on the same configuration and compare performance on your specific codebase. Versus Cursor, different category entirely. Cursor is an IDE. Grok Build is a terminal agent. Cursor has its own model training pipeline and real-time RL that improves every 5 hours. Grok Build has the xAI model stack and terminal native workflow. They serve different developer preferences, GUI versus terminal, integrated versus modular, versus OpenAI Codex. Codex is CLI plus cloud with GPT. 5. 3 models. Grok Build is terminal native with a dedicated coding model and richer TUI features. Codex has the Chrome extension and mobile integration that Grok Build doesn't have. Different ecosystems, different strengths. The key differentiators for Grok Build are clear. First, Claude Code compatibility, the lowest friction switch in the market. Second, cost cheaper than both Claude and xAI's own flagship model. Third, X/Twitter search, unique real-time data access no competitor offers. When you need to know what people are saying about a library right now, xSearch is invaluable. Fourth, creative tools built into the coding terminal, image and video generation without context switching. Fifth, multi-agent orchestration at the API level for complex research tasks. And sixth, enterprise-first design with sandboxing, OIDC, MDM, and zero data retention. To understand Grok Build, you need to understand what xAI is becoming. They're not just an AI lab anymore. They're becoming what TechCrunch calls a Neocloud, both an AI model provider and infrastructure platform. And that dual positioning changes everything about how to evaluate this product. The Anthropic compute deal is the key piece. Anthropic is reportedly paying xAI $1.25 billion per month for compute on Colossus One. That means xAI profits even when Claude wins. Every Claude Code subscription, every Claude API call, some of that money flows to xAI for the underlying compute. It's a hedged bet. xAI wins whether their own models succeed or Anthropic's models succeed. The SpaceX merger, xAI and SpaceX have merged, gives access to massive compute infrastructure. There are reports of $2.8 billion in new gas turbine purchases for data center expansion in Memphis. The infrastructure build-out is real and substantial. But there are also concerns that deserve honest attention. The last co-founder departed in March 2026. Staff departures have been reported across multiple teams. Pentagon classified network access was granted. Controversial and raising questions about the company's direction. And the question of whether xAI is spreading itself too thin across AI models, cloud infrastructure, SpaceX integration, and now developer tools? Grok Build fits into this as the developer land grab. Get developers into the xAI ecosystem with cheap, compatible tooling. Once they're using the API, the compute, and the models, switching costs increase. It's a classic platform strategy executed with unusual speed and aggression. The question is whether the organizational turbulence will slow the product velocity. So far, the answer seems to be no. The product keeps shipping. But corporate instability is a real risk factor for enterprise customers evaluating long-term platform commitments. Let me be direct about what's still uncertain. Grok Build is in beta. The Grok Build 0. One model is in early access. There are no official SWE bench or human eval numbers published yet, for the coding model specifically. Grok 4.3 claims leading industry in non-hallucination rate, agentic tool calling, and instruction following, but those are self-reported claims without independent verification. The developer reception is limited because the product is very new. The plugin ecosystem is seeded through Claude Code Compatibility, but native Grok Build plugins are still emerging. Community momentum is hard to predict. The xAI corporate situation adds uncertainty. Co-founder departures, the SpaceX merger, and the Neocloud pivot all create organizational turbulence. Whether the product team can maintain shipping velocity through this transition is an open question. And the Claude Code compatibility, while clever, is a one-way bridge. If Anthropic changes their configuration format, Grok Build's compatibility could break. That's a dependency risk worth noting. Grok Build is the most aggressive, competitive move in AI coding tools this year. Cheaper than Claude Code, compatible with Claude Code and with capabilities Claude Code doesn't have. The /stream command alone shows a different philosophy about what a coding agent should be. Not just a tool you use, but a collaborator that learns and remembers. If you're currently using Claude Code, the zero config compatibility means you can evaluate Grok Build in minutes, not days. Same skills, same plugins, same MCP servers, different model, different price. Run them side by side on the same codebase and see which one performs better for your specific work. The links to the installation instructions, API documentation, pricing details, and model specifications are in the description below. I'll see you in the next one. Catch you next time.